Hey Alicia, this is Derek, and I'm going to show you how to use the Georgia Numeracy Project instrument. This instrument, or this spreadsheet, is called an instrument. You can see right here, Numeracy Intervention Instrument. Anyways, super fancy. So it's really easy, but it can be a little overwhelming because it's a pretty big spreadsheet. So let's go over some of the simple stuff. So essentially what you're going to do is you're going to ask students these questions. We have a concept or a standard here, right? Rote counting 0 to 10. You don't have to worry about that too much. But we have a BL, which is this yellow question. This is the first question we'll ask the student. This would be a very young student. And we would ask them, start counting, beginning at 0 and stop at 10. And we would just mark, yes, they can do it, or no, they cannot do it. And we would just keep going. So my usual process is to ask students a bunch of questions until I get to an area where they get like 3 or 4 wrong. And at that point, I've kind of targeted, an area that we can start instruction. So you can see here, starts at, count 0 to 10, 1 to 9, count backwards, which is pretty enlightening. Start at like random numbers and count backwards. So the other thing too is it has, show student the numeral cards 2 and 9. So these are things that you can access up here. Here are the materials, and it'll show you this link to more downloads basically, and they're just 8.5 by 11 that you can cut out. But for the most part, you can just write these numbers on a whiteboard. So you show the student, number 2, write the student, number 9 on a whiteboard, and can they identify it, yes or no. So if it's no, we would mark an X or whatever you want to do, and then we would come back to this question at a certain time later. It could be a week later, it could be 2 weeks later, after you've instructed it maybe once or twice, or depending on how, the growth of the student. So we have BL, which is baseline, data point 1, data point 2, data point 3. So if they keep getting it wrong, then we would want to keep on coming back to it. All right, so that's the gist of this thing. So we have 8 stages. Number 1 is really early on. Number 2, number 3 is about first grade. Start counting from 0, count up to 50. All right. Number 4, or stage 4, is about second grade. And then stage 5 is right around 3rd grade. And this is where I started copper. So I showed her some numbers, 705, 432, 999. She was able to get that. All right, start counting from 324 to 341. We didn't get this right exactly the first time, so I wrote no in there, and I'll come back and do that. And you can see there's multiple ways they want her to count. Counting by thousands, counting by hundreds, counting by tens. Count backwards from hundreds, 795 to 195. So she was able to do this with support, I wrote down. All right. What is the number 1,000 less than 543,000? So we do skip counting by large numbers. We're doing place value, ordering numbers. So it's asking different ways, kind of the same question in different ways. She was able to get that. How many hundreds are in the number 8,320? I gave her a little bit of help on that, but she was able to get it. I wrote no because I want to come back and do that one again. All right, so that's basically what we do. Then the next step is, once I find an activity she doesn't know, so 324 to 341, this is concept number 5.2. And what I do is I go to our PDF. All right, so here's stage 5, 5.2. It goes from 5.1 all the way to 520. And all these blue links are different activities. So if I open up number hangman, it will show you the instructions for how to do this activity. So you basically just scroll down here. Activity instruction, place dashes on the whiteboard. You're basically playing hangman. And you want the kids to say, in the hundred spot is the digit. I usually give them, this is how I play this game. I usually give them two questions and a guess. Is the digit 5 and above? And if it's no, they can say something like, is the digit 2 and below? And if I say yes, they can guess, is the digit 1? And if it is, then we draw a 1 in there. If it's not, then I draw some kind of animal or something crazy for the hangman. So I try and stay away from humans. Anyways, that's the essence of this instrument. So right now she's in the middle of stage 5. You can see we start getting into, she knew, let's see, I have 700 pennies. How many more till I get to 1,000 pennies? Rounding, we had some discussion about that. She did not get that quite right. This one, she thought it was 200. So we wanted to do a lot of mental math on these things. What is the name of this fraction? I put down 1/2. She was not able to get that, so we want to talk about the names of the fractions. She wanted to call it 1/2s, so just naming. Although down here she was able to get 5/4, 10/5. So she has some knowledge of how to read fractions. And then we start getting into putting the fractions in order. But essentially, you just go down, ask them the question. If they know it, great. You can put an X in that yes row, the first row. If not, an X in the no row, and then you go to the activity link, 5.8. So 5.8 would be, fraction circles. Then we go to this activity, and there's usually 3 to 4 activities per knowledge point. And this one will give you instructions on this activity. Super fun. I love using this instrument, and I can usually teach kids right on the spot and really help them out. So the other thing we can do is, if you're going to use this at home, you could say, like, maybe put down, A for Alicia, and I can put down DW or something for me, so that we know who's using the instrument and we can keep track of stuff that way. But that's it for now. I'll talk to you here sometime soon. Don't be afraid to email or call me about this.